Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dylan Jarris and I am an Etsy seller of 6 years. We've done $1.25 million on Etsy. I am also a wife and a mom of 2 boys. I live in Southern California. I figured out a system to do $300,000 to $400,000 a year on Etsy without a whole lot of effort at this point. And I'm here to provide value to you so that you can see that this is totally possible for yourself too. We don't talk about fluff here. We don't do busy work. We only do profitable action steps. I'm kind of an impatient person. I don't like to waste time. Time is most people's biggest asset. So on this channel, I am all about trying to save you time and make you more money. Originally today, I was going to make a video about how to drive traffic to your Etsy shop. As I was looking around YouTube, I was seeing a lot of videos that were talking about what the top Etsy shops are doing and how to do that for yourself. I started thinking about that. I watched a couple of the videos, and as a shop that is very successful, doing $300,000 to $400,000 a year myself, I realized that that approach is really off base with what these people are telling Etsy sellers to do to get to that level. You cannot simply analyze top shops on Etsy and think that looking at their page and trying to copy what they're doing is going to make you successful. The reason for this is because you're seeing these shops at a specific point in time. You're not seeing the whole story. You're seeing these shops when they're highly successful, and you are comparing your beginning to their end. Now, I'm sure you've heard that saying before. Let's actually think about that. What those top shops are doing right now is not what those top shops did to get them to that point. Their strategy right now is a lot different than their strategy that took them to that point. I know this because I am a high volume shop, and what I am doing right now is so different. It's a completely different strategy from what I did when I was growing to get to this point. I like to call these strategies a sprinting strategy and a marathon strategy. So these videos are analyzing these top shops and the mature phase of business that they're in. You can't analyze a shop's mature phase of business if you are trying to get to that point yourself. If you're trying to get to that point yourself, you need to understand how they got from where you are to where they are now. The in-between, the parts that you're not seeing when you look at their shop now. So analyzing a successful Etsy shop, one of the top 5 shops, by doing that, you're not analyzing the most important time in their business. I want you to think of your favorite athlete, maybe an Olympic athlete or someone in the NBA. Let's say you want to be just like them. You want to be an Olympic athlete like them, or in the NBA, or performing at some high level as an athlete. You are not going to look at their life right now and try to do what they're doing. You are not going to analyze their day-to-day right now and think that that's what you need to do to get there. What we need to be doing is looking back at how they got there. We need to look at what their day-to-day looked like when they were in middle school, what it looked like when they were in high school. We need to analyze the hustle that got them off the ground. We need to go back to ground zero and analyze the steps that got them up to that level. We need to look at the first 10 steps that these shops took, the first 50 steps, the first 100 steps that these shops took to grow their businesses, not the last 10 steps or the last 50 steps or the last 100 steps. We need to look at the first phase of their business, the growth phase, not the mature phase, because I guarantee that those phases were completely different and their business looked very different. Their action steps looked very different. So yes, if you look at these top shops right now, you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see strong branding. You're going to see a consistent color scheme. You're going to see great listing photos with good lighting and very recognizable listing photos. You're going to see a lot of listings. You're going to see that they filled out their shop policies and their about section and the shop announcement. They filled out their Etsy page assets. And you'll see that sometimes they run sales that are 15 to 20% off. Those elements that are common threads among all the mature top Etsy shops are not the ones to study and to analyze. We cannot compare our beginning to their end. Okay, so what should we look at? We need to look at shops in the search results that are high ranking. They're Etsy bestsellers, they're Etsy's top picks, they have the popular now tag, but we need to find the shops that have not been around for a long time. So I'm looking at shops that are 1, 2, maximum of 3 years old. And ideally these shops have 1,000 sales or more. And these shops also need to have positive reviews that have been coming up on their shop in the past week. You're going to go to their reviews and sort by most recent. Our goal is to find the shops that are like Michael Jordan in high school. Okay, we need to study the sprint, not the marathon. We need to pick up on those scrappy tactics, not the coasting tactics. So my business has done $300,000 to $400,000 a year for the last few years on Etsy. My first year on Etsy, I did $134,000. My second year on Etsy, I did $143,000. In my third year, I did $245,000. And then I did $360,000, and from that on, we were in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. I say this because the strategies that I used to get in that first 12 months to $134,000 are completely different strategies than the strategies that I used to maintain $300,000 to $400,000 a year. The strategies and the steps that I used in year 2 to 3, where I went from $143,000 to $245,000. All those strategies that I used in that year are totally different strategies than the ones that I use now to maintain my level at $300,000 to $400,000. So in my teaching and in my coaching, I'm not giving the strategies that I use to maintain my level of $300,000 to $400,000. I'm giving the strategies that I use to sprint to that first $134,000, to sprint from that 143 in year 2 to that 245 in year 3. Those are the strategies that we focus on. That's what you're trying to do. You're most likely not a shop that's doing $300,000 to $400,000 trying to maintain that level. You are hustling, you are sprinting. So those are the strategies that you need to focus on analyzing when you're growing your shop. Don't look to the biggest shops and try to copy what they're doing. Their business is in a completely different phase of their business life cycle than your business is. So when we're looking at a successful business and trying to analyze it, we need to look at the full picture of the business. So think about Nike. If you were trying to become like Nike, would you go to their website? Would you go to their social media and try to do what they're doing right now? That's not the place to start. The place to start is to look at how Nike started, what they did when they were starting to get to where they are now. You need to look at the scrappy tactics that they started with when they were sprinting. If you're kind of struggling with this, I highly recommend listening to the NPR podcast called How I Built This. Okay, it's a great podcast talking about how businesses started, and it's very inspiring as an Etsy seller in that phase of high growth. This podcast focuses on how businesses became successful from ground zero, not just about how they are successful right now. So as an Etsy shop, instead of focusing on the biggest guys out there, I want you to focus on shops that are in high growth early in their career versus shops that are already mature and in that maintenance marathon mode. It's going to be a completely different strategy for listings, for pricing, for marketing, for promotions, for customer service, for your profit margins. If you are finding yourself in that space where you're looking for inspiration or a business that is successful that you can kind of try to emulate, I really hope this has helped you and given you some direction of where to look. Don't look at the top. Look at the middle, at the people who are going the fastest. You want to find newer shops that are having really speedy success and that are getting a lot of positive customer feedback. They are going to have the tactics and the strategies for you to analyze and implement in your business, because that sprint is what you are going to have to go through in order to become one of the top shops. So I hope this has helped and given you some direction on where to be looking for strategies. Because take it from me, the strategies early in a business are totally different. If you're interested in hearing more about the strategies that I used in the first sprinting years of my business, stick around, please subscribe, because that's what I'm teaching in my coaching. I'm teaching those scrappy, profitable actions that will get you that fast growth and that speed so that you can actually become one of the top shops and get into that marathon mode where you're coasting. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and check me out over on Instagram at Dylan Jaris, because I have a lot of content that I put up there every day.